All right, guys, welcome back to another interview on mmaunhinged. Today I'm once again joined by Chris Duncan. The Problem. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. It's great to have you on the show. Obviously, last week, the Contender Series, you set the world on fire. Thousands of views everywhere. It's just, I bet the week for you has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been good. It's not really sunk in quite yet. I haven't really had everybody's. I'm trying not to sound too big-headed, but everybody's want to see me and everybody's want to do their bit and congratulate me. So I've not had much time to spend with my family yet. So we're trying to work that in. I had a good day on Monday. Took my daughter out. We went in shopping. I bought her some clothes, bought her some stuff, and made me feel a wee bit like a dad again. So it's been good to come home and spend time with my girlfriend and my daughter. So I'm looking forward to going out with my girlfriend on Saturday. We're going to go on a date night. So I've not had a date night in a wee while. So back to normal life for a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. It was gonna. When you came back to your family, how did you celebrate? And obviously, you told you went shopping with your little girl.
Yeah. So the UFC had told me after my win. No, it was actually before that. They were going to follow me about with a camera. So they followed me about, in the lead up to the actual fight itself after the weigh-ins. And then after my win, they said that they're going to come up to Scotland and do a bit of filming. So obviously that's probably to build to the next fight. So they were following me about on Sunday from about 11 in the morning. We had a little celebration at the gym. You'll probably see it when it all comes out. And then we went back to my house for a barbecue and a few beers. So it's been good to spend time with everybody. As I say, I've still not come down off this high yet. So looking forward to I'm actually looking forward to getting back into fighting as well. The pressure's off now. You know that I can go out there. I know this might sound a bit silly, but I went out there and banged them out quite quick, and that's why I got into the UFC to start off with. But I'm looking forward to having a fight in the UFC and not having to feel that peer pressure to put the boy away and finish him to get the contract, because you can always win in the Dana White's Contender Series and not get your contract. So that played in my mind a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going out there and showcasing my skills, and I'm actually quite anxious about who they give me. It's who are they going to give me now? Because I know most of the lightweights in the UFC roster, so it's quite exciting.
Yeah, you said that you know most of the lightweights because you're a fighter, but you are most importantly a fan yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you talked about the barbecue. I just want to quickly ask, what was the beer of choice?
Oh, well, I was actually drinking the Hollowhead that they gave me at Dana White's Contender, and then I like a Budweiser.
Budweiser's a good choice. Budweiser's a solid choice. I've never tried the Howlhead though. I don't know whether can you get it? Can you get it over here?
You can get Budweiser here, but
no Howlhead.
Miller. But they don't really sell it here. You can get it sometimes, but Miller's definitely my favourite drink.
Yeah, I was talking about the Howlhead. Can you get it over here in the UK?
I don't think so. So obviously they gave me after my fight and after my win, so
Yeah.
I brought that back in the suitcase and started scalping that. So the only thing about the Howlerhead is if you drink a big swig, it's very strong. But see if you just have a bit of it, it's actually quite nice. You can taste the banana and stuff through it. God, I should get a sponsorship with these Howlerhead.
For a Scottish guy to say a drink's very strong, you know it's strong.
Yeah. Scottish guy that is the founder of Hollowhead, along with Dana White.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't tried it though, but every time, obviously, we see Molly McCann over there. She's swigging it. She's having a go.
She loves that shit, doesn't she?
Yeah. So we'll talk about obviously the fight, and the big elephant in the room is that obviously you're now a UFC fighter. How did that initially sound when he called your name out?
I knew I was getting the contract, mate. Banging a guy out like that, Jesus Christ, Especially people who think I was rocked and all that sort of stuff. I was. Don't get me wrong. He hit me some good shots. The biggest thing is he's poked me in the eye. It didn't poke me in the eye. Sorry, he punched me in the eye, and it's blurred. It's messed up my vision a little bit. So I've actually I went to opticians on Tuesday there, and I'm going to the opticians again tomorrow. There's a little bit of damage in the eye that I need to take care of. So I don't think they're worried about it, but I think they're going to send me to a specialist if it's not cleared up tomorrow. So that was the biggest thing in the fight, was obviously that when he punched me, it's hit the inside of my eye, and it scratched the cornea and scratched all the layers of the skin in the eye. Or I don't, they were explaining it to me, but I'm a big retard. I don't really know what's going on. So big thing for me is that the vision is a bit blurred in this eye a little bit still, and my eye like waters a little bit, and then in the morning when I wake up, there's a little bit of like gunk around my eye. So I need to get that fixed before I even think about taking a fight. So yeah, that was the biggest thing I needed to overcome in the fight. And when we were in the fight, he was still hitting me. Don't get me wrong, but that, as I say, the vision was really bugging me, and he kept swarming me. And I thought he was going to like off me a little bit, so I was trying to jab and move and hit and move and circle off, and he just wasn't giving me the chance. So I just sat down on my punches and just threw a 1-2. I felt him with the jab, obviously, and just made sure I got my head off the centre line because he was hitting me with some really good uppercuts. So I needed to make sure my head was off the centre line so I didn't get hit again.
Yeah, it was a firefight for as long as it lasted. As you were talking about the knees, the uppercuts, and obviously the calf kick as well. You mentioned that. But when you landed that big Scottish cannon down that middle, how did you know it was sweet and it connected?
Because one eye was away at the shop and one eye was getting the change. Like his eyes were crossed like when he was going down, and I was like, "Oh, he's out." And in the back of my mind, I wanted to do like a walk-off KO, but I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not going to give him a chance to get back up." So jumped on him, hit him another 2 shots, but like the other 2 shots, like I didn't need them. He was away with the fairies. So I'm just glad I got it done, and I feel bad. Obviously, I don't want to cause anybody any harm as such, but it's either me or it's him. So and he would have thought the same. So he's happy that he specifically said to me after the fight. He said, "I'm glad I lost to somebody like yourself, rather than like I think he knew it was going to be a challenge for him. So I'm just happy I got the job done, man. And as much as it was a tough fight for him, it was a tough fight for me, man. Like I was very nervous throughout the camp, and I think that really like pushed me to train hard and train right and recover right and do all the right things. I was obviously an American top team, so yeah.
Yeah, I watched our last interview. It was January 2021, when you were still in Bellator. And in that interview, you called out Kiefer Crosby. And I was just thinking to myself how that ship has sailed.
Oh, man, you see, he's left Bellator now. What's he doing? Is he doing bare knuckle boxing or not? What's he doing?
I think he had like a regional MMA fight in maybe Netherlands, I want to say.
Oh, and he fought some guy who was like 0-4 or something, didn't he? He fought some chump.
Yeah, I'll tell you in about 2 seconds. Here we go. He fought in the, I don't know how to say it, something fight championship. Brian Low Najo, he's 6-12, and
6-12. He was 6-12.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake, that's not a good record, is it?
But I was just thinking to myself how far you came in a year and a bit. Now, obviously, getting had fought in the extended series, then fought again. It was truly inspiring because obviously you had that redemption and you came back and you got that contract eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Like the big thing for me, man. Like I've got nothing against Kiefer Crosby and stuff like that, but like see guys like that, they're all mouth, and that's how they get themselves to the top. And I might not be mouth. I will chat a bit of shit back and forth just to, obviously, like I mean it. Like it's not like chatting shit, but like he's all mouth, and then that gets everybody like attached to him and stuff like that. Whereas I'm sitting grinding and I'm sitting in the background, just letting my actions take action. Like I'm not like using my mouth to get me where I want to be. I'm making sure that I put on a performance and then getting there. Like obviously I went from Bellator, I fought a guy outside of Bellator, and I fought a guy I fought in London. I was meant to fight a guy that was 13-4. He pulled out the week of the fight, so I ended up getting a guy that wasn't got the best record. But the guy came to fight, and he wasn't he wasn't no mug. He's like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu brown belt. He just won a jiu-jitsu competition there in Brazil. So like that, the guy isn't like that bad. But like as I say, sometimes those things like don't work out because I was either him or a guy from Brazil. He had a record of 13-4, but as I said, he pulled out that week of the fight. So that guy stepped in. We were meant to fight at 77 kilos, but like he weighed in at 80 kilos, and I was like, oh, Jesus. It's one of those things that you've got to deal with as a fighter. But what can you do? As I said to my manager as well, he lines them up, I'll knock them down. So just keep the head down, focus on my career, and focus on getting better as myself. I find myself comparing myself to other fighters and other people's careers, whereas my career is going to be totally different from them. So I just need to focus on getting better every single day, and look forward to the future.
Absolutely, the future's bright for Scottish MMA, for yourself. We'll move swiftly back to the Chris Campbell fight. You talk about in what after the fight how he kept on doing this hand gesture, and you knew that he kept on dropping his hand. That's when you threw that right hand. Is that something that you saw in camp, the lead up, that you take utilize of?
Yeah, for sure. So when he started to hit me, and I looked at his videos, and it was nothing that we really planned. It was more in the sense that like I recognised it. I was like, this guy's getting into his groove a little bit here. So he started to like kind of make his hand getting in his groove, and he's moving his head, and that kind of gave me the indication that he's just going to be coming forward. So that's when I made the conscious decision within the firefight to just sit down on my punches rather than move away from him.
Yeah, what was the game plan heading into the fight with Charlie? I know the famous saying, everyone has a game plan before they get hit, but what was the idea of what you were going to do?
No, there was no game plan this time. There was go in there and fight my fight. We understood that he had good calf kicks. We understood he had a good overhand right, which he got me with both, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I prepared for what happened. I've got power in both hands, both feet. It's just in my nature to have power. So, like we prepared for him, we understood. I didn't watch too much footage of him, but as I say, I think that the main thing that really made me win that fight was I was scared of Charlie Campbell, in the sense that he made me train hard and made me train right. And I'm scared of most opponents, to be honest, because in MMA you're always one punch or one choke away from making a mistake. So I feel that really pushes me forward and makes me train in the right fashion.
Yeah, I think that takes a lot for you to say that, obviously, because everyone thinks, these MMA fighters, these titanium, like mental, and they're very, very good at controlling it. And obviously, it's very good to hear that.
Yeah.
When we talk about the fight, obviously, it was an absolutely wild fight for as long as it lasted. The calf kicks, the uppercuts, you got stumbled a little bit. Did you think maybe when you got stumbled, did you think, oh, maybe here we go, a little bit of deja vu?
Yeah, for sure. When I had him against the wall and I was trying to get his single leg, I said to myself, I was like, this isn't fucking happening again. He can fuck off. So, like, don't get me wrong. I didn't think I was going to be out. I was like, this can't happen again. Like, this isn't, I'm not doing all this training, 8-9 weeks of training to come all the way to Vegas and then this happen again. So that was where I made the conscious decision to sit down on my punches, and you can see that from the video.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic fight. My next question about the eye poke, you described it earlier on. Hopefully that heals up. Hopefully that's just only a precaution. It's nothing too serious.
Oh no, I don't think it will be. I think it's just check. Sure that these are all fixed, and I just want to make sure I don't lose an eye. I don't want to be like Michael Bisping or something like that, So I think a little bit of time, and the UFC is such an amazing company that these guys look after you, not only through nutrition, like obviously you see the PI and stuff like that, but they send you emails, like courtesy emails, to see how you're getting on and making sure that you go and get your checks that you need.
Absolutely. I just had a dog's bark there, so sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know whether you heard them or not, but they're being little shits today, should we say? But yeah, hopefully it's only a precaution, nothing too serious. But was this like the way you wanted to win? Obviously, you showed you had the heart, you had the durability, you came back and you won, you got the knockout. Was this the way you wanted the fight to go, and how to get the contract?
Well, yes, no. I got my contract in the end of the day. I actually wanted to go 3 rounds. I wanted to make sure that I got some cage time. But listen, you got to piss with the cock you got. So I knocked him out first round, 2 minutes in. What's that? 9 weeks of training, right? So how can we work this out? 6 days a week, 4 hours a day for 2 minutes. It's like it's a bit like, but there's a little bit of relief because I get like post-fight blues because MMA and fighting's my life, so I get a little bit of post-fight blues and feel a bit down about not having a fight and not having a purpose. But I think it's a little bit more bittersweet now that I've got my UFC contract, and I know for a fact that I will get fights now. So I had a big trouble. The only reason why I left Bellator was because they wouldn't give me fights because of COVID, and it's not their fault, and it wasn't my fault. It was just the world came to a standstill. And as you know, the UFC were the only sport in the world that managed to continue. So now to be a part of that company is going to make my life so much easier. Not so much a financial stage, but like, because I was getting good money elsewhere as well. But like, it's just I now know that the UFC will supply me fights.
Yeah, and most importantly, probably one of the best at marketing that we have inside MMA. If you look at your followers, the views that you had in that last week.
Fucking hell, man. My fucking followers went up nearly fucking 5,000. It was unreal.
And it's only a beginning, because when you get your next fight, that'll be on an even bigger stage, and it will just keep on coming.
Yeah, for sure. The Instagram followers are not like the be all and end all, but it's still good to have. It's like, fucking hell, I've got all these people following me now.
Just a guy from Scotland, and the next thing you know, you talked about 12,500 followers now, so it's crazy.
Yeah. 12,007, I checked this morning.
Well, I think I checked last night, I think, so you must have got 200 or so throughout the night.
For sure, like obviously in America, the time zones and stuff.
Yeah. So we talked about the fight, and you talked about was it a sort of fight that you expected, Charlie? Did you expect him to come out hot? Obviously, a lot of pressure up against the fence.
Yeah. I thought he would have been a bit more controlled with the finish. If he tried to, like, obviously he got me on wobbly legs. I thought he would have been a bit more controlled. That's why he tried to jab and move. But he made the critical error that he started to come forward, and his head was right down the middle, and I just threw that 1-2. But yeah, I didn't really. That's the thing. We spoke to my coaches and stuff like it, and I imagined every like outcome of that fight, because you know what it's like, man. People think they're a striker until I hit them, and then they end up starting trying to grapple with me. So I'm always ready for that, and I spend the majority of my camp wrestling, and I spend the majority of my camp doing jiu-jitsu. So striking, I feel, comes very naturally to me. I've always got that natural power. So I'm looking forward to the next test, figuring out and trying to work at that chess match for my next opponent.
Yeah, a lot of fighters in their MMA career, the welt and losses. We talked about Keith Crosby. He had his first loss and he lost again. It seemed like when you lose, you start to have that little jagged schedule. But with you, you said your last loss, it was the best thing that ever happened to you, and it's really showed in them last two performances at UFL in London against I forgot his name off the top of my head.
Carlos, I think his name is.
Yeah, and then obviously in your last fight against Charlie Campbell, you talked about the loss being the best thing that's ever happened to you. But what did exactly teach you, or what did it tell you?
So when I used to go into fights, it was like life or death. It still is. You need to kill me to get me out of there. So you need to knock me out or submit me. So that's the mindset I still do have. But I need to be a little bit more calm and collective, and that's what got me the win, because I was still able to make the conscious decision to sit down on my punches in that last kind of couple of seconds of the fight. So like my mindset's changed. So it is life or death, but it isn't. I need to be a little bit more aware of the room, because I used to burn out nervous energy by trying to stare at my opponent until he got into the cage and all that sort of stuff. So now I've kind of made it a bit more relaxed, and I can almost guarantee there's going to be more finishes come out of that because I'm more aware of my surroundings.
Yeah, you talked about ATT, how it was a big thing in the lead up. What was it like training over there in Florida?
Mate, different gravy over there. That's all I can say. They treat anybody that comes in the door as a world champion, which is absolutely phenomenal. They treated me just as well. Well, I'm not saying that, but it made me feel like when I walked in the door that I was very important, and it made me feel right at home. And you don't get that very many places in the gym. And and I'm still in contact with some of the guys from there. I've made some really good friends, so I'm looking forward to getting back out there as soon as possible.
And then moving over to my last few questions. Obviously now inside the UFC, there's a lot of avenues that you can go down. We've seen the UFC come to England a few times this year. I'm sure that would put you a smile in your face if you could fight in front of the UFC, obviously in England or Scotland, hopefully.
Yeah, or even Scotland at the Hydro, but I don't think they would do that.
The last time they came to Scotland was at Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Gunnar Nelson in like 2017, and that was the last show in Scotland. I actually went to that show in the Hydro Arena, and honestly, the atmosphere was fantastic, and I don't understand why they don't go back.
Do you know what's quite a funny story? When I went over there, obviously I was a fan when I went to. When was that? What year was UFC Glasgow? When was that?
It was 2017, I believe.
So I don't even think I was a professional at that stage. So I was still an amateur, and I'm sitting in that hall watching Santiago Ponzinibbio come out. I got a picture with him when he walked up the road, and one of my sparring partners when I was on American Top Team was Santiago Ponzinibbio. Like, what the fuck? And I said that to him. I was like, mate, like, I'm a big fan. Like, I used to come over. I watched you knock out Gunnar Nelson, and now we're sparring together. I was like, it's like an honour, and it just shows you, like, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome when I was over there. Like, I didn't really feel like I belonged there. But after 1 or 2 weeks, my skill set started to prevail. Guys like Mike Brown, like all these people, like all the coaches and stuff, are like, bro, you're really good. Like you've got time to grow. You're still young to the sport. I've only been in it 4 years, and mate, I can't even fathom how much I learned over there. It's like I couldn't take it all in. I've probably forgotten some stuff, but I've definitely learned loads. And it's really weird to think that I was sitting in a crowd watching Santiago, and then him walking out, and I got a picture as a fan, and then him to be stepping in and helping me to prepare for my fight. It's really weird that, like, how everything, like, how focused I was of getting there, and then I'm training in the same gym as him. Like, he's a top 10 welterweight. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was at that event too. I was watching that as a fan, and it's just crazy how, obviously, you talked about how time goes. Now you're obviously in the sport, in the UFC division, obviously a teammate of Santiago who fought in that event, and it's crazy. So ultimately, if the UFC does come to Scotland, we've got some really good Scottish fighters. You've got Casey O'Neill, we've got we've got Paul Craig. It's definitely an event, and we've got other guys that they could sign. We could make a really good event.
Yeah, for sure. And like, even like you say, like, you're trying to, like, name off the Scottish people. What's wrong with the English folk coming through? There's a lot of people as well that could be signed. Like, you've got obviously Paddy Pimblett as well. He seems to be the biggest name. Molly McCann. Like, we've got people from Wales and stuff like that as well. Like unbelievable. I can't even fathom how good the Welsh rugby, not the Welsh rugby team, the Welsh wrestling is. Like, I was like really, really. Like Jack Shore, like, whoa, unbelievable wrestling, really good.
Absolutely. So my last question is obviously, hopefully the eye heals up. How busy? We've got 6 months left of the year. How busy do you want to stay in that period?
I'd like to get another one in for sure before Christmas. November would be ideal, but we'll just need to talk with my manager, see what sort of fights we can organise, because number one, I think my visa runs out in October, so unless they want to get me a new visa, which they probably will, and that would all depend on whereabouts I would fight, because I could fight in Abu Dhabi without a visa, I think, because it's still in the kind of criteria for the UK. I'd like to fight in America. I really enjoy it, and then obviously training at ATT, it's just a quick flight across.
Absolutely. Well, what happens next? Where you're stateside, Abu Dhabi, as you talked there. Congratulations, as being a new UFC fighter. I believe it's a fantastic accomplishment. Yeah, absolutely a fantastic achievement, and I think only the best is yet to come yet. So you've got I know you're in the UFC now, but I think that what's next and how it's going to go, you're just going to go from stride to stride.
Thank you, mate. And then, like I say, like, anytime you want a little interview on that, I'm more than happy, because you gave me the time when I was a nobody, and now I'm supposed to be in the UFC. I'm supposed to be somebody, but Guys like yourself, you know, you always take your time out to interview the guys that are on the way up and at the top. So I appreciate your time as much as you appreciate mine.
Oh man, that almost made me cry. Thank you so much, Chris. It's absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day. Looks quite sunny over there in Scotland, so enjoy your day.
Speak to you soon, buddy. Thanks again.